We're back, Just Context, episode 12. I would like to call this Madness Edition, but we're about to dive really, really deep in. If anybody watched...
Right. Before we dive in, I just want to say today we record our podcast on Wednesdays. So today is International Podcast Day. So I just want to give a shout out. It's kind of exciting because, this is a new journey for me at least. And, doing this with CN, we've kind of gotten all of our ducks in a row this week. And we are now available on Spotify. We're on Anchor. We're on Apple Music, Google Music. I don't know, a bunch of others. But it's exciting that today is International Podcast Day. So I just wanted to give that a little bit of a shout out before we dive in.
Yeah, and guys, just to make sure, within the week, we will be on SoundCloud as well, just so we can keep you guys up on the latest episode. So, well, yes, let's dive in the madness. Oh, so if anybody did go ahead and watch the presidential debate last night, I said personally, I start with opinions. I know.
Wait, so by presidential debate, he means the first presidential debate, which technically will be last week because this episode is going live on Monday.
Yeah. Guys, I'm saying this because the excitement of social media and the way I felt watching it. I know people was upset after watching the first presidential debate for this presidency. Based on how they felt, I know, in different emotions. But I would like to say this, guys. I'm going to start out with entertaining for me was different. A lot of people was like, why was it entertaining? And I guess I'm going to take it out of context. And let's take it out of context for the fact that no one was looking at how someone should respond to Donald Trump. And let's put it back in context. If somebody speaks to you a specific way, you have to be expected and be prepared to respond in a certain manner. So I'm going to stay first and foremost on a respect level, right? And I want to say respect level. Certain names that was called to the president should not be called because he's a president. Now, with me taking this out of context, and just because I may be wrong by saying this, I'm very big, and if you open up a door, what comes out of it is what you kind of put inside of it. So when we elected Donald Trump as a president, who was a very strong personality person, if I can say the least, in ways and how he gets his point across and how he says stuff and how he belittles people, you kind of open that door for that to happen. And yes, it was disgusting to watch certain things that was said, but I was happy to watch it because I wanted people to see that this is where we are at in our country. When the office that you hold in your highest power, right, is now subjected to be degraded at any personal opinion, at any personal point. So yes, I definitely enjoyed it. And the fact that there are different times, I felt like Joe Biden went and saw his black friends and was like, yo, if anybody even know your mama jokes, right, and ways to come back at it, they looked at him and they gave him a couple of your mama jokes because Joe did something that I do, and I'm going to say this, it felt, I don't want to use the words devilish or devious, if I should say. Whenever I feel like I have the upper hand in something, my first initial reaction is always smile because I feel like in that moment this is where I'm strong. And the other person's about to look weak. And I realized that Joe did it a lot in the debate, right? And I enjoyed it because of how my mind works. I know where it was coming from. I was like, okay, so I was waiting to hear how the narrative went. And a lot of people was like, well, Trump should have been more presidential. And I'm looking at everybody and I'm like, wait, guys, come on, gather together. Come, huddle up. You have not seen who you guys put in office and voted for? You're upset? I have people in, I would like to say in spiritual aspect who's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is our president. What did I watch last night? And I'm like, bro, I started watching this years ago. Can we revert back to the beginning? Can we? Okay. Hold on. let's take the narrative back because it's been bubbling. Where did you guys feel that this is not where the direction was going to go? Right? I would like to say this. You guys put chaos where someone was trying to bring unity. Now, I understand you guys said Obama didn't do a good job, but I want you guys to understand on a political side, it started dividing there. If you guys are in a position where we're supposed to keep the country together, and when a party can decide, you know what, we're gonna divide you guys because we have to get a political vote. This is what you're gonna get. So when you guys decided that, and when Obama became president, we're gonna call him and his wife monkeys. Well, let's not throw it out there because we don't want to be too disrespectful to the Obamas because I love them, right? Historical black figure. I like his strong historical black figure. When you guys call them names and anything else, no one stopped to realize that that was degrading of a president. When you started questioning the president's fact that he wasn't born as an American citizen, you start degrading his presidency, right? So you open up a door where you could take somebody who's supposed to be at a higher standard and watered them down. What did you guys think was going to happen last night? And that's my opening cause of the narrative. I'm not even sure where Janelle is going to go and I don't even want to stop. But I have to be, Janelle, I have to let you speak because there's just so much more we can go. Go ahead, Janelle.
I mean, I was saying the same thing and I really just wanted to scream. Like, have you guys not been paying attention for the last 4 years? I don't understand how anybody could look at that debate last night and really feel like they saw something new and something different and something shocking. Like, this is who this man has been this entire time. This is what this man has campaigned on this entire time. Like, none of this is shocking. None of this is surprising. And I don't know how people are all of a sudden being like, wait, no, this is not the person that I should be supporting. I literally, right before this, saw somebody say, my neighbor just took down their Trump flag. Where have you been? Where has your neighbor been this entire 4 years? I don't understand how this man still has supporters. And after the debate last night, obviously everyone and their mother is talking about the big takeaway, which was the fact that Trump had every opportunity, was given time to denounce white supremacy, white supremacists in any group, in any subcategory that you want to look at it, whether it's the Boogaloos, the Proud Boys, whoever the hell they want to call themselves. Honestly, I sat there and I was like, yo, this sounds like group names that like toddlers would call themselves. Like, they just make names up and they're like, yeah, I want to play this character now. But he had every opportunity to go there and he didn't take it. And what he said was, stand back and stand by, Proud Boys. Those were his exact words. This is what everyone is talking about, and that was the big takeaway from last night's debate. Now, here's the thing. I went on Facebook, and I really expected to see people, actually saying, like, hey, I don't know what that was, and I don't really like it. But I saw people on Facebook, for the most part, because, my feed is primarily, Democratic, if you want to put it that way. But I do have some Republican friends. I do have some Republican colleagues. I do have some Republican people that I know, acquaintances from law school on my Facebook. So, and even, some people from Jamaica actually, rooting for Trump. It's beyond me, completely beyond me. But all I know is I'm glad that they can't vote. That's all I know. I saw when I logged on that somebody was trying to make the point that he has in the past denounced the KKK and denounced people who have been violent in Charlottesville. He did that when the protests were happening and that person was struck with the car in the middle of the protest, and I believe they died. what happened in that instance is that initially his first thoughts and first opinion on the topic was quote unquote, it's all the left and there are good people on both sides. That was his initial concept of what had happened, right? And this is what came out of his mouth when there was nobody telling him what to say. When he got the backlash and people were up in arms, about the fact that he didn't denounce the violence and didn't denounce what they had done to this person, the murder that occurred, that is when I'm only assuming, someone in his party, because I can't imagine that it would be him, said, hey, yo, we got to fix this. You can't do that. So he came out with a press op and read off a beautiful speech about what America stands for and denouncing the KKK and any violence that occurred. Now, apparently this was supposed to make us forget that we watched a whole presidential debate with this man who got every opportunity, was trying to figure out what even to call them. It's amusing to me because every time you hear the man speak, he's always talking about the left and Antifa and all this, but he can't even tell you what the other side that is producing violence is called, apparently. Apparently, it just slipped his mind. Because, moderator, what do you want me to call them? What do you want me to call? Well, you know what to call them. You know exactly what to call them. The moderator starts listing off names for him, white supremacists, Proud Boys, etc. And he chooses to address the Proud Boys. When he chooses to address the Proud Boys, his denouncement is in the form of a rallying cry. It is beyond me. And now you have people saying, but he did denounce white supremacy in the past in Charlottesville. Are you insane? Like, are people actually this insane? I don't even understand how you can sit there and say this is not what he stands for after seeing the debate last night, number one. But number two, you're really going to say that after somebody coaxed him into saying something and gave him a speech to read, that all of a sudden it makes it okay because he has denounced them in the past? I'm so confused. He cannot say it out of his own mouth, of his own volition, on his own time, when he is given every opportunity to do it. But when someone tells him, hey, yo, you can't really say that, you got to be more eloquent here, and you have to, actually say, hey, they're not good people, that's when he does it. And that is what you are supporting. I am mind blown at the gymnastics that his cult, and I'm going to call them a cult at this point because I've had it. I am frustrated. Enough is enough. I'm just exhausted at the gymnastics that they do to try and justify his actions and, basically say that everything is okay. Because it's not. There's nothing about what we saw last night that is okay.
Janelle, hold for a second, because I want to touch on something for a bit. I want you to realize that it was so easy for our president to label the groups that he considered hate without no problem. He didn't have to think about the name of Antifa. It rolled right off his tongue. The name Black Lives Matters rolled right off his tongue. Now, I would love to go back to how long ago Antifa and Black Lives Matters was created for their group name to be so valid and to have a stigma.
Well, okay.
Wait, no, well, hold on.
Because I'm touching on exactly what you're saying. So first of all, Antifa is not a group name. Like, Joe Biden was correct when he said that last night. They're not a group. It's a concept.
It's an idea.
Yes. Anti-fascism. That's what Antifa stands for. Because other people decided to name this group of people who are anti-fascist, now all of a sudden it's a hate group. Because you have the idea of anti-fascism.
So, and thank you. And I'm happy that you identify that. So we can start with what the group's called the Proud Boys. I would like to say thanks for educating me last night, Mr. President, because in my state, we have the good old boys. So we already have one organization down here that completely supports you. So I took the opportunity last night, and I would like to thank Janelle for this moment. She was like, I need you to go on Twitter and see what the mayhem is going on. Because, guys, this is the reason why we like to say our podcasts go from left to right, because we try to understand both narrative. Because I'm very big on not closing the door on any information that's given, because all informations are valid. So I took the opportunity last night, right, when the Proud Boys responded on Twitter. So I was like, oh my gosh, you guys are real. And normally when people have an idea, they don't have T-shirts, badges, and logos. Um, Small rally cries, if you want to call it in any sense, to what they're doing. So I took a very good look at the Proud Boys, and yeah, very much more than an idea. So you know what you're doing when you said the Proud Boys, and Trump never said that he denounced the KKK. For years, they've said that David Duke, right, has, and I would like to say, donated to the cause of his presidency, right? And he was like, well, I don't even know who that is. He act like he's never known who the KKK is. Now, I would like to say this for every American who's listening to our podcast. I would drop a comment, please, if you don't know who the KKK is. If you didn't know how, now let me revert to another question. How many years did you know about the KKK before Black Lives Matters and Antifa? Let's resonate on that. So we have an organization that's been here for more than nearly 60 years doing the same thing, and you're mad at the organization that came around in 8 years, right? 9 years. So you watched them for so long, but okay, guys, we really won't. We're not going to call them their name. Is this Lord Voldemort? He who shall not be named? Like, is it that every white supremacist group Lord Voldemort? That it's like if I want you to realize, and Janelle had to correct me, because I was like the moderator when I heard it correctly, I did not hear the moderator, because I was so caught up emotionally for what was said when the moderator was like started listing off the names of a supremacy group that he should denounce. And I'm gonna say this, like, in that moment, if you're trying to save somebody else, Trump, El Presidente, you could have took the opportunity before the moderator even gave you the name Proud Boys to use, so you could have denounced something. You didn't have to say stand down and stand by, because I'm a video game person, right? If I take my video game and I put it in standby, that means I'm turning it back on. Let's marinate on that, right? And if and that's the stand down part. And I'm telling you to stand by, that means I'm going to play you again, right? And this is when it hurt. This is where it got put in context for me. And I almost screamed last night when he said, stand down and stand by, but what are we going to do about Antifa? Right? So I want you to understand by this. The president, what you should have said in that moment is that Proud Boys, stay back. This should be, if you think Antifa is an organization or Black Lives Matters that's criminal, I'm gonna need you to stand back and let legal proceed and step forward. If the fight is against police, we're gonna let police officers, just like you said, we're gonna bring in the National Guards and let the National Guards come in and take care of that matter. This is what you have a military base for. So when you have to look at civilians who's taking up arm. Now let's take this in context. The people who they say are following the thought of Antifa is bringing weapons with them. My bro, we've been watching white supremacist group show up with weapons, and I'm not talking about pistols and little bottles that we may call cocktails with a little chemical reaction inside of it. That when you add some fire, it may burn something. When these people show up, right? They show up with assault rifles, not even pistols. I want you to understand, pistols leave wounds that you can heal from. When someone hits you with a rifle, they're leaving wounds that's permanently damaged, and their ligaments gets torn off, right? If I want you to understand, if someone can shoot you in the chest from a pistol, not saying you technically won't die, but you can still survive. If you get hit in the chest with an assault rifle, you're gone, ladies and gentlemen. There's no coming back. and you're trying to tell me this is what we're trying not to fight. I hear the cry from last night to now. Every black people on my timeline been saying this narrative. Yo, everybody needs to go get their concealed weapon license, go strap up because we need to protect ourselves. And I'm like, you see, this is what the narrative is. Because the cause is now one in 6 of us may die, right? And I have to go through my household. Now I got me, my wife, my mom, and 3 kids. That means there's 6 of us. So if a civil war starts, my family's in jeopardy. That means that 1 in the 6 applies to me off the bat. Off the bat. Now let's go towards guys, as you can tell, the passion was brewing. There's so many places I could take the way I feel based on what I've heard last night.
Okay. Well,
now
get back to the actual debate itself.
Go with you know. Whoa. Oh my gosh.
So here's the thing. You've heard what everybody's focusing on is the fact that he didn't denounce the Proud Boys. He didn't denounce white supremacy when he had the chance, right? I feel like part of the reason why people are harping on this, don't get me wrong, this is like outrageous. The uproar was called for. The emotions it evoked is here to stay, you know? But I feel like the reason that people aren't talking about more when it comes to this debate is because there wasn't more. There was no substance to the debate because you had one side where Trump was just spewing gibberish, essentially, and lies, essentially, and talking over Biden and talking over the moderator. Nobody could really get a word out, even when it wasn't his turn. Biden would attempt to answer a question, and it's almost as if in order to actually get words out without Trump, attacking him and speaking over him and just drowning him out by being, a loud bully, all he could do is get out little pointers. So, parts of his, for example, he brought up his I guess what he's calling the Biden deal because they tried to say that he was for the Green New Deal. And he tried to explain that he's not for the Green New Deal. He is for his plan. He has a plan. And I saw AOC last night co-sign and say, yeah, it's not the Green New Deal. We did not agree on the deals that we should have, pursued. But I will be working alongside him on a committee to work on his plan. But we didn't get to hear what the plan was. Nobody knows what this plan is because Trump would not let him speak. Everything he said was like an elementary school fight. Like, well, you're ugly and you're stupid and oh yeah, your son. Like it was ridiculous on another level, and I feel like I laughed so much. People were comparing the debate to Saturday Night Live. It wasn't educational. We didn't learn anything from this except that apparently Trump thinks that planting trees is going to have an effect on climate change. He also feels, I guess, that the California wildfires have nothing to do with climate change and everything to do with the fact that they don't maintain their forests well enough, apparently. Forest maintenance. I just, the things that actually got out onto that stage last night were not a lot. We did not learn much. And that's why I think that this, him given the chance did not denounce white supremacy is so big right now because there was nothing else that, we could even talk about to begin with. Like nothing else is worthwhile to speak about because this was it. This was the bomb that dropped, dropped the entire thing. The only other thing that I can say is that he came for Joe Biden's son who had a drug problem, and I think a lot of people are up in arms about that because as Biden said, a lot of the United States have had drug problems, have had substance abuse problems, have been overcome with these issues and have overcome them. So I think it was, ridiculously low of him to bring up his son to begin with, because I mean, like, we're in the middle of a presidential debate and you're going for his family. You're going for his family's drug problem, and you still haven't told us anything about what you're planning. You still haven't told us anything substantial, but you're going to talk about his sons. That I think got everybody enraged at this point, and I do want to also point out the fact that I think a lot of people were upset at the moderator, and I feel so bad for the man. I feel so bad for Chris Wallace, because I genuinely feel like he did the best that he could. People are now comparing Trump to a toddler, because essentially that's what it was. He was a child who could not be controlled, even though he agreed, as Chris Wallace pointed out, at least an hour into the debate, that he agreed to be able to give the other side a chance to talk, to not speak over them, to speak when his time was there, to be used. And he just didn't abide by any of that. He was speaking over people. He was arguing with the moderator. He was asking Biden questions himself as if he were the moderator. Everything that we saw last night was a joke. It was ridiculous. I can't even, there's not even another word that I would use. It's just outrageous that people have not realized who this man is for the last 4 years until last night. Some of his campaign promises, though, I think have people feeling some kind of, yeah, we're gonna get some stuff out of him. And I'm a bit confused at this, because his campaign promises, especially the one where he says that he's going to name KKK and, other groups as hate groups, he can't even publicly on his own denounce the KKK and white supremacy, but you think that he's telling the truth when he says that he's going to make them hate groups? I'm seriously very confused. And I also kind of mirror this as, what was he promising during his last campaign? Have any of his promises come true? Because we can start with healthcare. We still have no healthcare plan. That was a big one that he was running on. The wall was another one he was running on. We saw what happened with that. They stole everyone's money that donated to it, and they never ended up building a wall. What he did do was pass all these executive orders that effectively cut immigration, period. He ran on banning illegal immigration, and what he effectively did was cut immigration, period. And I see people that are so proud to say, like, yeah, illegal immigration is behind us and, he's doing a good job, but they don't really understand that it's not just illegal immigration. He's literally, his entire administration has been retrained to make sure that legal immigration is also diminished. So he's cut down on a lot of this, and a lot of corporations and companies have been at his throat for it, because they are now not getting the talent that they need. And by talent, these are the same people that he was, flouting. Yeah, we want the people with merit, and we want the people who are gonna, do a good job in the United States. And these people are now not being able to file effectively for jobs in the US. And a lot of them are just not coming to the US anymore because of it, or not staying in the US now because of it. So these companies are actually dealing with a lot when it comes to a workforce that no longer exists or has been cut, like substantially. So I just kind of want to, touch back on the fact that there's not many of his campaign promises that he actually did come through for. He also said he was going to put Hillary Clinton in jail, which I think was like the most hilarious thing, but he did run on that. He did run on that. Obviously that never happened, because it was never going to happen, because he cannot do it. The same way that he cannot do a lot of things that he promises, but he promises them because people believe him, as if he has not been lying for the last 4 years and even before that. But we're just going to stick to the last 4 years because now is when matters, right? Um, did I miss any? Did I miss any campaign promises that he actually came through on?
No, because I technically everything that, well, I can't say because I'm not 100% on all of his policies. I do know that a lot of his stuff that they did get turned down by the Supreme Court. That is one of the reasons why this new position by the Supreme Court is so very important with him. So he has more votes up in there. So yeah, a lot of his stuff got turned down. He tried with his executive order, but it got stopped. I would say this: when he ran on the lock her up, not saying it wasn't entertaining at the moment. A lot of people believe that he was gonna lock her up. I ain't gonna lie. When he got in power, I was looking at Hillary like I emojis for her because I was like, yo, the way the president's talking about you because you about to go.
But see,
But
that's the problem, is that people take him at face value. People listen to what he's promising and what he's saying and think that he's going to do it, but he is not capable of doing it. It is illegal to become president and imprison the person you are running against. That's a dictatorship. That is not democracy. That would have never happened.
oh Lord. But I would say, you were funny when you said that the Saturday Night Live thing, because after watching the debate, it I mourned for Chris Wallace the first 20 minutes. Because I was like, man, I'm not sure. I know you felt promised because a couple of times Chris tried to put his foot down in different ways, not saying, oh, Trump stop, but Mr. President, like he tried to be a somewhat affirmative, and I'm like, you're trying. And at one point, he kind of sounded like the teacher. Do you know when the kid's just been bad in class for like half an hour? You're like, all right, guys, forget this. I'm just gonna call everybody's parents after this, and you're just gonna get a whooping. It strongly came off that way. As I said, the people who gained something from this may have been the Democratic Party, but the people who really lost wasn't really the Trump, it was the American people, because as of now, he's still our president, right? And you have to think about it. And I would say this from a business perspective, for everybody who does business with anyone, right? If you walk into a room with somebody who you want to do business with, and this is how they react, you're gonna want to take your business elsewhere. So it did not look good. I know most Republicans was looking for Trump to be humanized in this moment. Like, you know what? Show them that you're not the person everybody keeps saying you are. Because I'm not gonna lie, I had a conversation with someone, with a very good Republican friend of mine, right before the debate, because he was basically trying to tell me, hey, I have a drinking game that I'm trying to do based on what the participants was saying. And I was like, well, I can't go because I got the kids and I don't really drink. But we had a long conversation about what he was hoping to be said, and I want to give my friend Chris a shout out. He knows who he is because we have great conversation. I like having open debate conversation with somebody, especially from the Democratic side, who has a very extensive knowledge about what goes on in their party. So I can have a debate because I am here to learn. You know what I mean? And just as much as he educates me, I try my best and educate him. So we've had very good conversation. And even listening to what we had to talk about after, because I don't want to divulge too much of our conversation. He was hurt in the moment because even he had to say, not saying it did sway his vote anyway, right? But it hurt him to realize that as a parent, that I could not let my child see this. But it's those little things that I feel like as hit the narrative. Janelle made a statement that in earlier she talked to somebody who who basically she saw took their flag down. And I've seen a couple of people, even in my area, because I live in a strong Republican area, who've taken their flag down. Yes, they've taken their flag down and they revert back to their full American flag because and at the end of the day, we all stand for America. But in the sense of what happened last night, it was hurtful. I won't say it was hurtful for Trump supporters to watch their candidate doing what they're doing, and for the Democratical supporters, and especially for Black Democratical supporters. And I've talked to Black Republicans too, guys, just so you know. And I would say this: yeah, he did lose a lot of Black Republicans, just so you guys know that. So if you Republicans viewers out there who listen to it, who wants to get your Black people back, you may have to work overtime, because this one kind of hurt us a lot. This was his opportunity to prove to every Black person that in this moment you needed to vote for me, and he did not bring that home. And I've had that conversation as well. So what I've learned in this moment, and I will tell, and I will hope any future presidential person who listen to our podcast, you know what I mean, who wants to make that stint in life, it's not what you say, was how you say it. A lot of the points that was supposed to get across last night could have got across a little bit more, preferably. Not saying Biden answered all the questions the way I properly want, but at least he made a proper attempt. He stayed as quiet as he could. He tried to give his opposition the opportunity to speak, right? Just so we can hear them clearly. And I would like to say that that's one of the reasons why I felt like the debate went the direction it did. And I really, 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 really want to say that it went that direction because it was very smart on the Democratic Party's part to do what they did. Because all they technically really do was like Biden let Trump talk. He's self-destructive. Um, all you have to do is try to keep your nose clean, and he'll destroy himself. And as what I've come to understand, that's technically what really, really happened last night. Biden didn't have to destroy Trump. He didn't really have to really do the work. And I think that's what a lot of Democratic Party people were upset about, is that Biden didn't. They felt like he could have done more to quench her thirst and destroy Trump's narrative. But at the end of the day, what Trump did was destroy the narrative himself. Right? He took what he was supposed to take and gave everybody what they were supposed to give. And it's like, to me, it's like a nasty breakup what's gonna happen with this thing. A nasty little breakup. He's gonna be losing supporters, not saying anything. I do know that a lot of strong neo-Nazi and strong white supremacist people, and a lot of people who still believe in his policies, which, I mean, he's still gonna be putting forward. It's gonna be on his side. But I do feel like after this moment, it's like going through that breakup phase. You start seeing that text message that the person may send to somebody you don't feel too comfortable with. You saw them liking a picture online. I'll start from the way that the vice president greeted his wife, and how accepting she was of his companionship. And Melania didn't even look like she wants to touch the president of all. So I'm not sure if they're going through a breakup, but I don't want to put anything bad on their relationship. But I pray for their marriage. You know what I mean? I pray for success for anybody who may be going through tough times in their relationship. Guys, I would like to say.
So hold on. I just wanna remind everybody at this point, especially after last night's debate, that for some reason, I guess during Trump's presidency, everything in the United States has been seen through a dichotomy. So anytime you bring up something that Trump has done bad or badly, it seems like for some reason the appropriate response is, but Obama. And here's the thing, like, everything is not a dichotomy. It doesn't have to be, well, he did this bad, but so did this person. It can literally just be, he did this badly. Because at the end of the day, Obama is not the president. He's not here anymore. There's absolutely no reason to keep bringing up Obama, but because Trump does it, apparently it has just become the commonplace thing. I don't sit here and say that Biden has done everything correctly. I don't, say that Biden is the be all and end all. I don't sit here and say that he's perfect. But what I will say is that it's time for people to step back and start, actually acknowledging that this man has faults and that this man has done things that are wrong. I don't feel like it's okay to just try to justify his actions even when you know that what he's doing is not okay. That, I think, reflects on your character. At that point, it's not about him anymore. It's about what you are willing to justify and be okay with. So I'd really like everybody to kind of jump out of the dichotomy and seeing things through that lens, because it really doesn't have to be that. If I say something about the sky, you really don't have to say something about the grass. That's not how that works. I just kind of want to put that in context for people, because I feel like people have forgotten that through these 4 years or more because of Trump. And I'm starting to see people just mirror him and be the worst of him. And I really don't like it, because some of the people who are doing this are people that I actually like. I just want to give that little reminder to everybody that it does not have to be a debate or an argument. You can say, yes, he has done things that I like, but I don't like other things. Just like last night when, he was attacking, Biden's son. Like, I don't see how anyone can say that that's okay. And because, somebody says, okay, but Trump, attacked his son, now you're going to hear, well, Biden called him a clown.
Yeah.
It can really stop at Trump did something he wasn't supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then, speaking in the future, if you want to address, it's almost like an abusive relationship, where it's like you bring up something that is bothering you and something that hurts you, and they, turn it around on you and say, yeah, well, you do this that bothers me. Well, if it bothered you so much, then why weren't you talking about it before? Why did you wait until this very moment when I brought something up that was not okay with your actions for you to turn around and say, well, yeah, you do something I don't like too? That's really what the United States has gotten to at this point, and I'm really beyond sick of it. So I just had to give that reminder, because I feel like, just as Trump last night was completely unfocused on the United States and Americans and more focused on Joe Biden, when Joe Biden was focused on getting his point across to us and looking at the camera and looking at his audience and speaking to the American people, and even trying to, personalize what he was saying by speaking about specific towns and the things that those specific towns are going through. And Trump was the whole time just focused on Biden and tearing Biden down. I just don't like to see Americans portray that kind of behavior that we all know is not okay.
Well, and I would say this, it was hurtful because we live in a country where we're very big on, we don't want to be bullied. That's one of the reasons why, it's going to sound sad that we bully terrorism. So if I can put it in any form or shape. But you're right. Some other countries may differ with that conversation. But in a sense that we don't want to be bullied. And where we literally had to sit there and watch an individual try to bully someone. Like I think that my biggest takeaway from this is that if there's one thing we've learned, I guess Biden can't take bullying, right? Because he tried his best to fight back as best that he could have. But it, as I said again, guys, it hurt.
I mean, for someone that has a legitimate stuttering problem, who has actually clearly been through speech coaching and came out and actually delivered certain things that he wanted the American people to know, even though Trump was badgering him the entire time and trying to bully him and trying to speak over him. I just want people to put that in context and realize how difficult it is for people who have a stuttering problem that has been, lifelong, to even get on a stage and debate and be clear and be, somewhat eloquent in what you're trying to get across, while somebody is just badgering you in the background.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's something to look past, because I think he did a great job yesterday. And I know that a lot of people, have said in the past he's old and senile and he has dementia. It was very apparent and very clear after that debate yesterday that he is not suffering from dementia and he is not senile. He has a stuttering problem, and that's why people tend to say that he doesn't speak well on the stage and he doesn't give speeches well. It has nothing to do with his mental capacity.
Well, and you know what? I'm happy you brought the stuttering issue up, because if I'm very big, if you're not around someone to understand what their and I don't, not to put it in any bad way, their disability is, right? You don't understand what it is to deal with it and what it is to overcome it. So to watch somebody, and I would say this, Joe Maida had 1 or 2 instances where he stuttered and he cleared himself. But for somebody who has that disorder, to speak the way that he spoke last night I was very impressed. I do not want to take away from that. I was very, very much impressed by the way he spoke. I would say this. For the next debate, guys, there should be some things. I know the conversation was, the questions were technically not preordained, in the sense that they didn't know what questions they were going to ask. But for what I came to understand, that a list of questions were sent over, basically on a potential aspect of what was being said, so stuff could get signed off on. If I remember correctly, I think it was 100 questions that was sent over, and they had to sign off on all the 100, knowing that not all questions were going to be answered. So they were technically aware of things that could and would be asked. And I would say this, not saying Biden was completely prepared, because there are times that, yes, you saw him stutter when it was like, okay, I have to remember how to answer this question correctly. But I would say this, it came to a point where I felt like Trump wasn't prepared for a lot of those questions. It came across that at one point he had a narrative that he was trying to push, and Chris Wallace said it to him at one point, and this is where the debate to me turned a little bit left, when he was like, "Look, do you want me to get up and let you narrate, right, and let you come ask a question?" And he was like, "Yeah, well, I'll ask this one question," and it was so disrespectful to the man position, because you're at your job, you do your job because you do it well and because you're respected for it. Like, you hire me for this job because, on the retrospect, this is what I do, right? And you're going to sit here and try to tell me that I am not doing my job properly and you should come here and do it. Like, if you signed off on these questions, you should have known what questions were going to be asked. And if I ask you something as simple, and this is where it became childish and I was hurt. And there are times Chris Wallace made a statement, and I know he tried his best and he messed up sometimes, where he's like, "I'm gonna ask you this question so you can respond to it unresponsibly." Mean that, if I said it correctly, mean unresponded, mean that I'm gonna let you talk and the person is not allowed to cut you off. I've heard him say that a couple of times when he let them speak, and there are times he didn't say it, and in my mind I was like, oh, I guess this is one of the questions that they kind of left open for you to go ahead and, rebuttal on, because I got excited when I started realizing that pattern. But
I think it's difficult to moderate for children. So I think it's hard to remember that every time you ask a question, you have to remind the child not to speak out of turn. Like, I think that I don't think that was planned. I don't think it was like hey, you have some leeway here. I really think that he was doing his best, and short of going on stage and stuffing something in Donald Trump's mouth so he would shut up, like Biden said, like, shut up, man. I don't think that there was anything else that he could have done.
No. And that's the reason why when people was like, you know what, guys, he was being disrespectful to the president. But I know, if you could ask him, President Donald Trump, would you mind being quiet, so I could speak? That would have been more appropriate. Yes, guys, I want to make sure I said it. it would have been a more appropriate for him to say it. But you and I both know when you're in a heated debate, in the passionate of the moment, right? There's some things that is just more easier to say. Not like I'm gonna say drop the F word or anything like, but it was just like, as I watched Trevor Noah responded after the debate, and he posted a little clip when he was curse with shut up. Yeah, because that's how he technically Joe Biden looked, that he had on his look on his face. And it was like, if somebody has to put you into a point where you feel emotionally that the only way for me to respond to you was in some form of an anger, that is not a good place to be in.
Well, so I hear what you're saying, that he should have been, more patient and eloquent and not refer to the president in that manner. But I also disagree with you when you say that, because my perspective is that anybody standing on that stage during a presidential debate, who is the president of the United States, the commander-in-chief of the United States, should know better than to be speaking over somebody and speaking out of turn and badgering somebody in the middle of a debate. You should know better. This has never in the history of American debates, or let me rephrase. Let me rephrase, because God know I wasn't around in the 1800s. This has never in the history of my life of presidential debate been a thing, to the point where the whole country is like, why don't you just shut off his mic?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's beyond embarrassing at this point that we have a president that doesn't understand simple etiquette, simple debate etiquette. And okay, cool, he's not a lawyer and he has no tact and art of debate, but at the end of the day, you're a human being and you get the rules. You understand what should and shouldn't be done, and you're not doing what should be done. So if you want to come on stage and pretend like you don't know the rules and pretend like you don't know what should be happening, I think it is within everyone's right to be like, shut up.
I mean, and I want to say something crazy, because not everybody knows how the toilet works, but everybody knows how to flush it, right?
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying, right? Like, we technically don't know all the mechanism inside of a toilet, but we know how to flush it, the simplest things. And I would say this: I didn't expect Donald Trump to be the best debater, right, and the best person to debate. But I think the simplest part of the debate rule was just letting the other person speak when it's their turn, was very easy to understand. Like, how could that not be understood? And I'm not gonna say this. It's crazy because Joe got rolled into it too. So it's a two-sided sword, because he kind of cut him off. But this is the bad part about it is, if I'm not saying stoop to the next person's level, but if someone cuts you off enough time, at one point you're gonna feel like, hey, do you know what? The only way I can get my point across sometimes to you, for you to listen, is to cut you off, because it came across that way at some point. It's like, not until Trump felt like he was getting a point across and Joe had to put a stop to his point for a second, it kind of shook him.
Well, so I've exhausted myself at this point. I've also exhausted myself last night watching that debate. I know people who were completely and thoroughly drunk after playing that drinking game.
Yeah.
I know people who were exhausted to the point of falling asleep towards the end of the debate because they just couldn't take it anymore. He is exhausting. He is exhausting. I don't know another word to describe it. When you watch him, it's like, why don't you just act like a normal human being? It was really like, having a child that you could not control. So I just think that now is a perfect time to move into something lighter, because I can't take this anymore. I don't want to talk about this, man.
I don't know, Janelle. I think we suck up the whole time this week again, yo.
Well, for sure, I want to shout out the Heat, because Miami,
yes,
hometown. So congrats to the Heat for being able to play the Lakers in the finals.
Yes.
I know that the entire country at this point is on the edge of their seats because this is a matchup that hasn't happened and everyone has wanted it to happen. So we're eager for that. It kind of sucks that it's happening in the middle of COVID.
Yeah. But
Uh,
let me take a steal on this one, please. Let me take a steal. It was kind of hurtful. I think Stephen A. Smith said it best. When it comes to coast, two of the best teams when it comes to having a finals or a championship is either when it comes to LA versus New York or it would have came to Miami. Miami's been a dream championship because as you can know, Miami got the beach. It's a party city. LA got the beach. It's a party city over there. So it would have been beach to beach and everybody's stuck inside their house or in a bubble in a pandemic. I would say that a little bit louder, guys, but that's how everybody feels. And I want to give a big shout out to the Heat. We already know who LeBron James is, the Lakers. The Lakers was one of the top two teams from the West who everyone did expect to get to the finals. So I got to give credit where credit is due. But I want to give them a massive shout out to the Heat because, and I want to use the word because the Heat put a team together that no one expected to make it to the finals. Matter of fact, they never even really expected them to make it through the second round of the playoffs. I want to definitely shout out Dragic, and I want to give a special shout out to Jimmy Butler. I've been a big Jimmy Butler fan for years. Jimmy's one of the hardest players out there. And I know I'm sound like I'm coattail riding, guys, because I am. I am riding for Miami. I know everybody is saying go Lakers because Lakers is the favorite, but I would say this: I am. If the underdogs has been thriving so hard, why can't they? Why won't they stop now? I do see the Heat beating the Lakers. So I may be the first person to say it publicly, but I'm out here saying it. So if you feel anyway, please put it in the comment. We can chop it up, and I'll tell you why I feel like they're gonna beat them. But um, the the Miami has put a team together that has nothing but determination. There's no personal star. There's no one person there who is like, I am the best person on this team. Yeah, we do know Jimmy is the most exceptional player on the team, but the team itself is united as a group.
okay, but just real quick, we got to give a shout out to Tyler because he's been doing his thing.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I said it. But there's a lot of people who's been doing their thing. But for example, and see, guys, I'm gonna go basketball right now. The Heat is playing a zone formation that actually used to play by the Bulls, right? And that formation technically means that every person who's in that formation is ready, willing to put their body on the line at every moment because you have to step in and out of rotation or position just to cover somebody else. When you play man to man, it's like I'm just following this one guy around. So they've placed themselves in a position where not one person on the team is the overall superstar. Like everybody who comes in is on the same playing field, so we all are going to get this together. And I personally feel like that's the reason why the Heat went to the finals. Because I'm not gonna lie, I was not rooting for the Heat, so I may sound like a wagonist at this moment. Because no, I want to say this the way. No, wait, hold on. I want.
You're
No,
from
I know. No, I am a Miami fan, but the team that I was looking forward to being in the finals was the Milwaukee Bucks. I am a big.
no,
Wait, hold on. No, hold on.
no, just go away now. like
No, no, I want to answer. I want to answer it because Miami team, forgetting Jimmy right now, Miami did not have a team, as I want to say it before, and a lot of basketball analysis will say this. Miami didn't go to the bubble or had a team in the season that looked like they would have made it out of the second round. So as a Miami fan, yes. And when Miami went up against the Bucks, I cheered for Miami. I am a Miami fan, yes, but the real is real. The Milwaukee Bucks came out of the East as the number one team for a reason. So everybody was technically looking for the Bucks versus the Clippers or the Lakers. That was the matchup everybody was looking for this year. For the
no,
fact
no,
no, so for
no.
the fact that the Heat took the number one team in the whole in the whole league, not just when we got to the playoffs. They took the number one team in the season and demolished them in a way that everybody was like, yo, we have to look at Miami. Like, these boys are hot. And they're over here like, why do you think they call us the Heats? We're out here we're burning everybody up. They looked at the Bucks and was like, you're an animal, we gonna cook you. You know what I mean? So we burned all that animal. We went to the Celtics and was like, yo, I'm gonna keep it real, dog. We don't believe in Alec Rush. In that Irish luck, we got that fire. So we burned that. And I ain't gonna lie, Lakers, we're gonna take that yellow and throw it somewhere else, dog. It's all about that red. We flamers over here. So just so you guys know, all right, so guys, just so we wrap that part.
All I'm saying is, like, you're not supposed to be rooting for no other team than the Heat. Okay, all I'm saying, I don't look at no other team in the Eastern Conference unless the Heat is not playing.
You are right. It's not the team that I was really for as a player. I did a little bit of history and a player called Giannis Antetokounmpo, which draw my attention. So I will say this: that's where my guilty pleasure was. I am a big fan. That's the reason why when I knew Miami got Jimmy Butler, I knew Miami had a team that was willing to fight. I was basically looking at Miami to get an extra support player with Jimmy before Miami made that rush, and Miami showed that they can do it without a supported player. It just comes to show that not every team needs a big three, needs a big one. We just need guys with, and this is for everybody out there. As long as you're ready to put in hard work and determination, you're gonna get it. If there's one thing I want you to take from the Heats this year, because they didn't take no shortcuts. When everybody was out having fun, they were out there. They were practicing. Jimmy was like, one of the best thing about the Heats is that they had late night practices. So they'll practice in the morning. The guys in the evening time be like, "Yo, I feel like still practicing." He like, "For real? You ain't tired?" And he's like, "Yeah, well, we got to know these plays. Like, we want to run these formation." And he said that that's one of the reasons why he goes so hard, because he likes that environment. He likes being a part of a team that's ready and willing to put in the hard work to get it done. So if there's one thing you learn from Miami to get to this point, and even for you to get to B Rabbit, I call it B Rabbit because in 8 Miles, this is where they call Eminem's B Rabbit when he's going against Papa Ducks in the final battle. But when you get to the final battle and you're going at it, you have to give it your all, yo. And I know, regardless, and guys, just so you know, Game 1 is playing tonight. I'm not sure how the score is, because as soon as I finish recording, that's what I'm going to be looking into while we're doing this. But yeah, we're going to be looking into that. Guys, I'm not going to lie. We have so much things in store. I'm happy that every time me and Janelle have so much information that we want to give you, we can't give it all. You don't understand how much of a blessing that is. I think
now 8-3, just saying.
You know.
8-3 Heat, by the way.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. See, Janelle's just so we know the score. But guys, as I said, we have so much we want to give to you. There's the topics that we want to talk to you across. That's been on our heart is there.
Yeah, we can pick it up next episode.
Yeah, we definitely will, because I feel like between now and next week, Janelle, people definitely gonna be going through some breakups. So, Janelle, I'll let you close this out for this week.
All right, guys. So you know exactly what to do. Last week we're on episode 12 already. That just my mind. I started thinking about like, oh my gosh. But last week we were talking about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and we discussed The Social Dilemma on Netflix. So if you haven't checked out that episode, please go back there, do that, and come back next week. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend, and we will be back to put everything in context for you.
For real. Guys, again, thank you for listening. I'm looking forward to you again on the next episode of Just Context Podcast. Peace.